Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and reviews show, where this week we're celebrating 25 years of the Porsche Boxster with a new limited edition.
The new Mercedes C-Class goes up against the 3 Series and A4, and we take a look at the new facelifted Ford Fiesta.
Plus JAG's wild updated V8 F-Pace and a new EV from BMW. That's all coming up, but first, the news.
In an ongoing recall of more than 140,000 cars from General Motors, replacement batteries are on their way for the Chevrolet Bolt. After numerous well-reported cases of Chevy's compact EVs catching fire, all Bolts built since 2017 will be updated with new and upgraded batteries. GM has confirmed 13 cases of Bolt batteries spontaneously catching fire. Production of the Bolt has been halted since August, and the total cost of the recall is estimated to be up to $1.8 billion.
For decades, the Ford Fiesta has been one of Britain's best-selling cars, and it's easy to see why. It's affordable, good to drive and well made. Recently, however, its competitors have started to catch up and in some cases overtake the Fiesta in the sales charts. Clearly then, something needs to be done. Enter the new 2022 Fiesta, Ford's answer to the VW Polo and Vauxhall Corsa. The update is a midlife facelift of the existing Fiesta with a refreshed front-end look thanks to a bigger grille that now houses the Ford emblem rather than sitting beneath it. The headlights have also been updated and the bonnet has been resculpted. At the back, the changes are rather more subtle, with a darker tint on the rear lights and mildly altered diffuser making do. There are some new colours to choose from though, while the high-riding Fiesta Active and the sporty Fiesta ST have received similar revisions. The Fiesta Active gets some new body classing and vertical grille bars, while the ST has been treated to an extra 30 Nm of torque to help keep it competitive against the new Hyundai i20N. Inside, the Fiesta's cabin remains largely unchanged, but it does get some new tech. There are a 12.3-inch digital infotainment display with graphics that change to match the car's driving mode. Regular Fiestas get 3 driving modes: normal, eco and sport, while the Active adds trail and slippery. New safety tech includes adaptive headlights and a new wrong way alert system which warns the driver if they're travelling against oncoming traffic. And if you thought that was unnecessary, there's also a new rear occupant alert, which reminds the driver that there's someone in the back. The Fiesta's engine lineup is carried over, with entry-level cars getting a 99 brake horsepower 1-litre 3-cylinder motor, with 2 mild hybrid options topping off the range with up to 153 brake horsepower. However, there's a new Volkswagen Polo on the scene, and the latest Vauxhall Corsa is proving to be a very popular choice, especially with an EV version available also. So are the Fiesta's minor updates significant enough to take it back to the top of the bestsellers list? Well, we'll find out when deliveries start in early 2022.
With a flurry of new EVs hitting showrooms this year, there's no shortage of choice, especially if you're after a saloon. Porsche and Audi have released new 4-door electric cars, as has Polestar, Volvo's electric offshoot. But if none of these Tesla alternatives quite takes your fancy, BMW has this, the all-new i4. Joining the iX, iX3, and of course the aging i3 and i8, the i4 is, to all intents and purposes, an electric 3 Series. But look a bit closer and you'll notice it's actually bigger. It's borrowed some styling cues from the concept i4 we saw last year, and has plenty of aerodynamic bits and pieces to maximise potential range. Top spec M Performance versions will get 523 brake horsepower, and a 0 to 62 times of about 4 seconds, while the WLTP range is said to be around 360 miles. Best of all, it's rear-wheel drive, meaning it should be fun to drive while still holding on to some of that BMW DNA. Despite originally being scheduled for release in 2022, BMW is apparently so pleased with the i4 that it's hitting showrooms in Germany 3 months early, with the first customer cars already on the roads. However, there's a premium 4-door electric saloon that's already been on the roads for a while, and it's doing rather well.
This is the Polestar 2, and at first glance the Volvo DNA is clear. The design language is similar, but just about different enough to mark the Polestar out as something a bit less conventional. About the same size as the BMW, its fastback styling and chunky proportions make it a pleasingly unique option, but style alone won't win buyers in this corner of the market. Entry-level cars start at under £40,000, and for that you get a single electric motor powering the front wheels, producing 221 brake horsepower, and are good for a range of up to 274 miles. Not bad at all. The next of the 3 powertrains uses the same setup, albeit with a few extra horsepower, but range is boosted to 335 miles thanks to a larger 78 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Climb inside and the cabin will feel immediately familiar to any modern Volvo owners, with a similar steering wheel and a portrait infotainment screen. It looks fantastic and is minimalist without going to extremes like the i4. All the materials used are vegan, apart from the pricey optional leather upholstery.
So, is BMW late to the party? Unlikely. The i4 comes with a brand heritage that the Polestar lacks, and its understated styling will make it the ideal first EV for those making the jump from a 3 Series.
The performance SUV has long been dominated by the Germans. Every company from VW right up to Porsche has various track-inspired family haulers to choose from, but what about the rest of Europe? Well, one of our favourite fast 4x4s is this, the Jaguar F-Pace SVR. If you simply must have a 2-ton gas guzzler that can keep up with a sports car, it may as well have a supercharged V8 that sounds like a Norse god shouting. And now, after just a couple of years on sale, it's been updated. This is the new one, and like the regular F-Pace, it's been treated to a host of new gadgets and gizmos. The styling has also been refreshed, both inside and out. The F-Pace SVR still uses JLR's shouty 5-litre supercharged V8 that we've previously found in everything from F-Types to Range Rovers. In this guise, the engine produces the same 542 brake horsepower as the old version, but the new SVR is now good for 0 to 62 miles per hour in 4 seconds flat, thanks to its new launch control system. That puts it right up there with the very fastest in this class. Unsurprisingly, the Jag sounds awesome. The roar of that V8 is trumpeted through the quad exhausts protruding from the bespoke rear bumper. The SVR gets a much sportier look than the regular car, with a louvered bonnet, subtle rear spoiler and a lower, wider body kit. It's clearly a high-quality product, but is it good enough to justify its £78,000 price tag? Well, it needs to beat this. The current car to beat in this class, the powerhouse Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio.
Like the Jag, the Stelvio is definitely a looker and has been subject to a recent refresh. It builds on the standard car with wider wheels and a lower, more aggressive stance. Using much of the chassis from the Giulia Quadrifoglio saloon and the same twin-turbo V6, the Stelvio puts out 503 brake horsepower, exactly the same as the smaller Alfa. It is down on power versus the F-Pace, but thanks to its lower weight, it beats the Jag to 62 in just 3.8 seconds. Both cars can do almost 180 miles per hour, so there's little to split them on paper. So how do they compare to drive? Well, twist the Alfa's DNA dial to dynamic and the whole car feels immediately alive. It feels every bit as lively and energetic as the Giulia, with rapid acceleration and incredible grip. The exhaust makes some satisfying crackles on upshifts, and you'll really have to push it to notice the car's bulk. The Jag is a little more sedate. While the V8 still makes a glorious sound, it's not as conspicuous as the howling V6 of its Italian rival. It's arguably a bit more grown-up then, despite that characterful, if slightly old-fashioned engine. It is staggeringly fast, but it can settle down and be used easily every day. The boot is huge and there's loads of space throughout. On a long journey, it's immensely comfortable and a far more pleasant environment than the dark, rather gloomy Alfa Romeo's cabin.
But it's the engine that will be the main draw to buyers, and the noise isn't as obnoxious as it is in the Range Rover Sport SVR, which uses the same motor. It looks classier too, and the materials used are on par with its sister car as well. This then is the new performance SUV to beat, and definitely a true rival to anything from Germany. After the break, a very special Porsche Boxster and the new Mercedes C-Class.
Coming up, a new limited edition Porsche, but first...
The current Mercedes C-Class has sold 2.5 million units since it came to market in 2014. It's an enormously successful car for the brand, so you might imagine that when designing a replacement, Mercedes pulled out all the stops. Well, this is it, the new C-Class. And, at first, it may seem like Mercedes has undercooked it. For example, it shares the same platform as the old car, albeit a revised version of it. Then there's the styling. Yes, it looks good, it's modern and sleek, but it's not a huge change from the old one, and certainly not as striking as some of Merc's other new cars that we've seen in the last 12 months. So, has Mercedes just played it safe? Well, you only have to take a quick look inside to see that the new C-Class is far from just a facelift. Inspired by the incredible new S-Class, the beautifully sculpted dashboard flows into the centre console. There are some stylish new air vents and a chunky new steering wheel. The most striking feature though must surely be the impressive 11.9-inch portrait infotainment system. As before, the C-Class is available as an estate, and a coupe and convertible will join the lineup soon. Plug-in hybrid versions will join the selection of powertrains at some point after its launch next year, but buyers looking to get their hands on one of the first new C-Classes will have to settle for either a regular petrol or diesel model, or a mild hybrid assisted 2-litre producing 254 brake horsepower. However, even if you opt for the most basic cooking model, the C-Class does seem rather pricey. especially when compared to its old rivals from BMW and Audi. So, what does the new Mercedes have that its competitors don't? Well, all models come absolutely filled with equipment. The base model Sport trim comes with fabulous infotainment screen, the digital instrument panel, LED headlights, adaptive suspension, and the usual host of safety equipment. But is that enough to persuade buyers away from BMW and Audi?
Starting with the BMW, and it's easy to see why it remains one of the most popular saloon cars on the market. Its rear-wheel drive layout and great engine selection make even the most basic model fun to drive. It's also one of BMW's more attractive cars in its current lineup, especially in estate form. For a coupe or convertible, you will need to sacrifice some of the good looks and opt for a Benostro 4 Series. So how about the Audi? Well, it may lack the driving character of the BMW, but it's comfortable and incredibly well made. Its mild hybrid system works well, and there's a broad range of petrol and diesel engines to choose from, with either front or all-wheel drive.
However, as impressive as the BMW and Audi may be, they have immediately been aged by the C-Class. Its stunning cabin and S-Class tech will be huge draws for buyers.
Back in 1993, Porsche was far from the all-conquering colossus it is today. It had just 3 models in its lineup, each of which had been in production in some form or another for years. The company sold less than 4,000 cars in the USA that year, while just a few years earlier that number was as high as 30,000. What it needed was a fresh, new, affordable sports car, and at that year's Detroit Auto Show it debuted a new concept. Evoking the 550 Spider of the 1950s, it was a mid-engine 2-seater called the Boxster. So named by combining Boxer, referencing the flat-six engine, and Roadster. It blew the crowds away, with a public reaction so positive that Porsche bosses instructed engineers to build a production car that looked exactly the same. By 1996, it was in production. To keep costs down, it was developed alongside the 996-911 and shared various parts, including those distinctive headlights and even the water-cooled engine.
Fast forward 25 years and the Boxster is still going strong. Often credited with saving the brand in the 90s, Porsche has clearly decided that this is an anniversary worth celebrating. So it's revealed this, the new Boxster 25 years. Based on the existing Boxster GTS, the 25 years gets a host of bespoke goodies. Many of them hark back to the gold details found on the original 1993 concept, including some gorgeous 20-inch 5-spoke alloy wheels, the side intakes, the front splitter, and the badging. Other cosmetic changes include an aluminium-look fuel filler cap, some very shiny exhaust pipes, and a choice of 3 colours. Like the concept car, it gets a red fabric hood to complement the red leather seats. The interior is topped off with some tasteful aluminium trim and a bespoke 25 years tread plates to remind you that this is a very special Boxster. Its 4-litre flat-six produces a healthy 395 brake horsepower, getting the Boxster from 0 to 62 in 4.5 seconds, onto a top speed of 182. As standard, it comes with a 6-speed manual, but there is an optional PDK paddle shift available.
So then, you might imagine this limited edition Porsche will cost an arm and a leg. Well, it is rather pricey for a Boxster at just under £74,000, but it is worth noting that that's only £6,500 more than a regular GTS. And when you consider that it comes with a heap of standard features that are optional on lesser models, the blow to your wallet starts to soften. The biggest draw, though, will be the car's exclusivity. Only 1,250 will be made, making this a real collector's item. 25 years of the Porsche Boxster is certainly worth celebrating, and this new limited edition seems as good a way to do it as any.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we feature the all-new Subaru WRX.